Hey interwebs, it's Ch.1, and welcome to the first official edition of Pokemon Go Fireside Chat Mini Retrospective. In an ideal world, I would be able to do a podcast every week. However, I've noticed lately I struggle to even do a podcast every month, so in the back of my mind, I wanted to do this series where I make little retrospectives of events we've had in the past so I can save them for later. Like, current events and news is a lot more likely to become dated than a retrospective on something that's already happened. So this is how it's going to work. My goal for podcasting is to have the usual Pokemon Go Fireside Chat format once a month, and then sprinkle little stuff like this and other ideas in the back of my mind to fill out the months, just so there's not just one singular audio recording being uploaded for podcasting per month. No, I mean, like, have a little bit more flesh out in this without the fear of not being able to record every week. For now, we're going to stick to 2 podcasts a week, or 2 podcasts a month. But who knows, if I get access bulk, maybe I'll upload more. If I have a really bad month, maybe it would just be the one. But it'll at least be something. With all that said, I finally want to get into something that I've been putting on the back burner for so long that it's probably outdated already, but I still feel like it has some room for discussion anyways. And that's my overall thoughts on Feebas Day. Now, yeah, I am aware that we have had similar events since then. Some that are done in a lot better format than Feebas Day was. So I decided to take advantage of my long delay and use this opportunity to actually compare and contrast Feebas Day to Clamperl Day. Because Clamperl Day had a lot of improvements from Feebas Day. Enough to make me feel like they did learn, quote-unquote, learn their lesson from Feebas Day. To start off with, let me make sure everyone's on the same page by quickly going over what I mean when I say Feebas Day. So way back in January 20th / January 19th, depending on your region, I decided to do something a little bit different. How I would describe it is take the Community Day formula of making something special happen for 3 hours, instead of focusing it around a spawn, focus it around research. Now, in the past, we have had, when I say past, I mean before this event. As I was saying, in the past, we have had community days where all the research changes to match the theme, but this is the first time a community day or an event was revolved completely around events. And this ended up working for better and for worse for Niantic. So essentially, for a 3-hour time period, all field research in an area turned into specific quests that you could accomplish for a Feebas to appear. In addition, if you were lucky, that Feebas that you got from the research would turn shiny, and this was how shiny Feebas was introduced into the game. Now, before I go into the about it, let me get the good points out of the way. First of all, this is a very unique idea, and definitely had perks to it that no other type of event have had before. One, the best part about research is you don't have to do it right away. For Community Day and events very similar to it, if you couldn't play during the time of the event, you were completely out of luck. Whatever benefits and perks were for that event were exclusively to the time period of that event. Now, granted, field research isn't a perfect alternative to that. If you can't even open up the app during that time period, you're still out of luck. However, even if you had like 10 minutes of time, what you could do is open up your app, drive to an area that has even one Pokestop, spin it, get that field research, and then come back to it later, and then you would at least have a Feebas, assuming you didn't have one already. And yet, there's still incentive for people who can play during that time frame to play for that entire time frame, because you would want to either A, grind up candies for Feebas, assuming you didn't have one already, or have its evolution already, and 2, get that shiny Feebas. So on paper, this would be a great idea for an event to try to get a new group of people into the event scene. However, I think it's about time to get into the reasons why this event wasn't well received. First and foremost, for one, it's a pretty much a general consensus that the shiny rate for Feebas during this event wasn't high enough. I know you don't want to just hand them out like candy, but there was a lot of complaints in the Pokemon Go community of doing so many and not even getting a single shiny. And that was with quote-unquote improved odds. Because here's the thing. When the event first came out in Europe, I believe, the shiny rates were a lot higher by the time it reached other parts of the globe. I don't think we ever got official confirmation, but the way I imagine it is that they released it in the first areas, the people complained about the shiny Feebas rate, and then, to try to correct it, during the middle of the event, they improved the odds. Granted, the odds still weren't great state-wise and in the Asia region, but they were better. I believe in Europe it was like 1 in 40, and in the US it was 1 in 20. Let me see, yeah. Double checking those numbers on Silph, that is what they reported. Though I might as well clarify exactly where the odds for these regions were. The 1 in 40 with a 95% confidence interval was for Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and India regions. And our 1 in 20 is for the America and Asia Pacific region. Excuse me. I don't think my voice got enough water today. As I was saying though, honestly, 1 in 20 normally wouldn't be bad odds, especially for a shiny in a 3-hour time period. However, this is not a community day. Putting the Pokemon that could be shiny exclusively into field research is a whole other beast. For one, depending on where you live, you could be a lot more limited on the number of opportunities you even have to get Feebas field research. If you live in a large urban area where there's over 20 Pokestops at every single block, if not more, let's just say, then I can see the argument being less the case. Rural areas are going to have a lot less Pokestops than urban areas. So people with less Pokestops in their town will have less opportunities to get the shiny Feebas. I could go more into the whole rural versus urban situation in Pokemon Go, but not only is that a whole other beast that probably I could spend a whole mini podcast talking about on its own, it's not even the real reason this Feebas Day went sour in people's mind. People in both urban and rural areas were not satisfied with this event. And besides the whole shiny rate, there is one other major factor that kind of made this experience sour in some people's tastes. And that would be with the field research you had to do in and of itself. While on a normal day, I wouldn't consider any of these tasks terribly difficult, in combination with the limited time and limited Pokestops per area that one could get Feebas from, the problems just stacked up to snowball into something that no single part could do on its own. Let me take a minute to read out these tasks. And the missions are: earn 1 buddy candy, hatch 1 egg, make 10 grape froze, make 15 nice froze. Now, one thing I want to say, thank God they didn't make any of these do blank froze in a row. I would say that would have gotten the community in torches and pitchforks, but we were surprisingly close to that point already. Now, none of these seem bad on their own, but let me dive a little bit deeper into each one of these to explain the quote-unquote issue. Earn 1 buddy candy. This one's probably one of the least harmless of the bunch. Assuming you know your buddy Pokemon science, for lack of a better way to describe it. If you knew that switching your buddy to a Weedle would allow you to get buddy candy quicker than if you had it be your Larvitar, this one wasn't so bad. Walk 1 kilometer and complete the field research. However, within the 3-hour time period, 1 kilometer could really add up, especially if you're not stacking your task. As in, like, making all 3 of the research that you're working on earn 1 buddy candy, because if you don't do that, then you would have to walk 3 kilometers just to get 3 Feebases. And even that could stack up. If you're trying to get 20 Feebas, that's 20 kilometers in a 3-hour time period. And I don't know about you, but most people aren't going to be able to do 20 kilometers in a single time period. And wow, when I say that out loud, I have to take back what I said about this being the least harmful. It appears the least harmful, but when you do the math, it really adds up real quickly. So what is the least harmful of the bunch? Make 10 grape froze? That's great, if you know how to do your froze. This is kind of where I gotta bring up how this event kind of makes things less accessible to the casual audience. Because especially if you're out there playing this game with your kids, 10 grape froze can be a lot to ask for from a small child. And I feel like the whole point of these types of events, especially if it's taking inspiration from Community Day, is to get people out playing together. And to do that, you have to make things as accessible as possible. Plus, the real beef was they didn't change the spawns at all for this event. Like, if you had a hard time finding Pokemon, normally, like, honestly, between you and me, outside of a Community Day, I do, and going to very urban areas, I do actually struggle. As an example, because of the weather, I had to stick very, very close to home for this Community Day. So I went to the first town that actually had any Pokestops. And I don't think it's much of an exaggeration to say that it would take at least 10 minutes to find 10 Pokemon. Might even been less, because I know I was relying a lot on the Feebas I was getting during this event to actually get my Great Froze. Yeah, it's not just catch the Pokemon either. You have to actually get the Great Fro on them. So if you screw up because maybe it's just too cold for your hands to do the playing, or as a better example, you just aren't good at doing Great Froze, tough break on you. And I guess the 15 nice froze to complete a field research, that one wasn't bad either. Assuming you actually had Pokemon to catch. This is why I keep emphasizing the fact that a big problem with this event was they didn't increase the spawns at all for it. For me personally, I know this event could have been better if I went to a little bit better of an area to play, which is part of why I'm a bit more lenient towards it than other people in the community were. However, without increased spawns, I wouldn't have had much better luck no matter where I went to play. Cause even during Community Day, even the place that I go every month for Community Day would be a ghost town without the increased spawns and the community just luring up every single Pokestop in that area. At least in the middle of winter, when the whole formula for determining spawns was based on how many people were on their cell phone in a particular area. I've actually had Community Days where some weren't as sweet as others, just because less people were coming out to play because it was colder out. But that's a whole topic for another time. Point being, if I struggle finding Pokemon to catch on Feebas Day, I'm sure there's other regions, people with even more urban areas than mine, that were struggling even more and even more frustrated with being able to do the events in hand. Last, but not certainly least, from a ranting standpoint, was Hatch an Egg. Here's the deal. It's similar to the Buddy situation, but worse. I already went over how if you wanted to get 20 Feebas from the candy research alone, and you didn't know the wiser to stack your field research, and we're doing each of these one at a time, you would have to walk at least 20 kilometers in order to do that. And that's assuming you had the foresight to make your buddy a Pokemon that gave you a candy every kilometer. If you didn't know any better, or were trying to walk a buddy that had more buddy distance than that, it was even worse. Now let's take a look at eggs. The very smallest egg that you can get is a 2-kilometer egg. You have to walk 2 kilometers in order to hatch it. So making a field research hatch 1 egg, at minimum, without the use of super incubators, would take you 2 kilometers. So in 20 kilometers of walking, you could at most get 10 Feebas. And unlike buddy distance, eggs are RNG. I could be spinning Pokestops. And again, that's assuming you had Pokestops. To constantly refill my eggs, which isn't always true because an egg does not always come out of a Pokestop when you spin it. But let's just assume it does for sake of argument. There are 2 other types of eggs you could get from a Pokestop. An egg you have to walk 5 kilometers, and an egg you have to walk 10 kilometers. And guess what? You can't get rid of eggs, so if you got too lucky, or should I say in this situation, unlucky, and got nothing but 5 and 10 kilometer eggs, your situation would be worse. If you only had 5 kilometer eggs to walk, which honestly are probably the more common of the 3 eggs, you could only do... Let me do the math real quick. We're assuming you're going to walk 20 kilometers in this 3-hour time period, which honestly is a bit of an exaggeration as is, but for sake of simplicity. 20 kilometers divided by 5 is 4. You could only get 4 Feebas research if you were unlucky and only had stops that revolved around eggs. And you might be saying, oh, Jackie K, you could just use more incubators. And oh boy, this is probably where the real salt comes in. Because if you're going to bring up that argument, oh, why don't you just use more incubators? Then you bring a whole other factor into this event money. Let's make the assumption that you are doing everything you can to earn as much of the in-game currency as possible. 50 Pokecoins per day. One, if you didn't think in advance to stock up on this, you're out of luck because it takes at least 200 coins to buy an incubator outside of a box. And you ain't getting 200 coins in a single day. So, chalk up your money. Let's say if you had some foresight and saved up your coins in advance. 50 coins a day. Again, that's assuming you had enough to do with your gyms to get 50 coins a day, which, that's a whole nother thing of itself I'm not going to get into today. But it's easy enough assuming you have enough gyms in your area, so let's assume you get your 50 coins a day. To earn the 200 coins that you would need for... Hold on, let me check the shop real quick. Because I feel like I'm exaggerating when I say it takes 200 coins for a single incubator. So let me just pull up my app, look at the in-game shop, ignore the bosses for now, because that's a whole other mess I could get into. Yeah, slight exaggeration. If you want the super incubator, so in theory you could get... So that in theory, you could get your 20 field research tasks taken care of in a 20-kilometer walking distance. A super incubator is 200, and that reduces the time it takes to hatch an egg by about a third. A normal incubator is 150. So yeah, it would take you 3 days of gym battling to get one single incubator. An incubator does have 3 uses, and so does a super incubator. So let's say you had that concept of, I am going to have a whole set of incubators and just put all my eggs on incubators so I can hatch them out. It'll take me about 3 days of gym battling to get a single incubator for free. And let's say I'm going to try to put all my eggs on incubators, so I want 5, because you do get a free one that never breaks. So 150 coins times 5 is 750 coins. And if you get 50 coins a day, that would be 15 days of gym battling just to have a full set of 6. And guess what? After 3 egg hatches, those 5 incubators are bye-bye. And I've gone way deeper into this rabbit hole than I was planning on, but let's say you do manage to take 15 days in advance to stock up on coins to get incubators. Though granted, I think if you got like 150 coins saved up, you're better off going for one of the boxes to try to get your incubators, but that's a whole other thing. And I feel like I'm on this tangent way too long as is. So let's say you do manage to get those incubators saved up. Put them on there. You can get 18 hatches out of those incubators. And actually, if you have field research that's just hatch 1 egg, what am I even saying? You wouldn't want to hatch them all out at once, because you would want to segment it so you get the most out of your 2-kilometer eggs. So you wouldn't even want to buy incubators in that case. They just go to waste. So you would want to... You want to buy the super incubators in that case, which, let's redo the math real quick. That takes 4 days of gym battling just for 1. Granted, you get 3 uses out of that super incubator. And in that case, you could get a little bit more. Let's just assume that it does half, even though I know it does less than that. So you're getting 1 kilometer per egg hatch. So you still would only be able to get 20 Feebas in 20 kilometers of hatching. Like, the only way you could really improve your efficiency more than that, which I guess is the whole point to this entire tangent, is you have to really plan out and segment your egg catching to make the use out of that. And keep in mind, we are going off the assumption that you get nothing but 2-kilometer eggs, which is unrealistic in of itself. So odds are you're going to have to try to work around with 5-kilometer eggs, encouraging you to get the super incubators more so, which brings me to the point of bringing egg catching into this kind of unintentionally turned this into a pay-to-win event. And this isn't actually my fault. I didn't really mind too much about the eggs one way or another. But it's me just going through the reasoning, trying to understand why other people made that argument. And it just boiled down to the fact that this egg catching quest encouraged people to buy incubators. Because it wasn't really something you could realistically do a lot of within a 3-hour time period without opening up some extra incubators. Wow. My recording is almost at half an hour and I haven't got into how Clan Pearl Day improved this. And if I'm just reaching half an hour in recording time, I know I've been working on this more than half an hour, because I've had to do multiple takes of things, because I'm pretty much doing this all off the top of my head. But of course I want to go back and redo certain parts when I feel like I could present the information better and all that. So this is definitely a lot of time to spend on one filler podcast. Overall, Feebas Day was not well received, but thankfully Clan Pearl Community Day was received significantly better. And if I could spend this long just talking about Feebas Day, I feel pretty confident I could do a whole mini episode talking about how Clan Pearl Day improved it. And maybe even throw some ideas around of how to improve this type of event in the future. Because while I do know Clan Pearl Day did a lot of things right, I almost think they did it a little too right. But I'll get more into that in the next mini-cast. Hey, I want to just give a couple seconds from a distant future Jackie K to add another point. This was all recorded before LOTAD Research Day was announced and released. And considering I have yet to record the Clan Pearl part of my Feebas versus Clan Pearl Research Day review/comparison, I do plan to include some notes about LOTAD Research Day in the next part of this as well. So look forward to that. Thank you all for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to leave me feedback. I am hoping to do a lot more retrospectives of past events like this in the future. And considering how much I surprised myself in filling up this podcast with informative content, I look forward to doing more of these in the future. If you guys got things you want to hear me talk about, specific themes for these mini-casts, feel free to let me know. I'm on Twitter, and I know I haven't done the greatest job with giving you guys options for reaching out to me beyond Twitter. But if you just leave comments in whatever form you're listening to this to, whether it be iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or YouTube if I get around to uploading on there, I will read all those comments. Eventually, I'll admit I may be more responsive on YouTube and Twitter than other forums, but I will eventually read them all, and I will keep everything I read in mind. After all, this is still a bit of an experimental phase, so I'll take any feedback I can to, well, make a good experience. Because talking isn't my fortitude. So if I'm just talking for no reason, then I'm just wasting my voice. So if I can make the experience for you guys willing to listen any better, I will take it. For those of you who haven't been following me for a while, my Twitter is JacketStuff. Spelt the same way as my username of Jacket K, but take out that K and put in some stuff. And hopefully I'll actually find some time in the next couple months to set up my website, and when I set up my website again, I'll have some sort of contact email set up on there as well. Hopefully. Sorry for my rambling, but want to make sure I got that house cleaning out there in some form. Take care.